but you've been told that the way to date more women or to help women fall in love with you a bit more is to get to their mind. The most seductive part of themselves is their mind. Well, maybe, maybe not. No, it's not. It's the wrong messaging in that space. I'm going to tell you why, and it's rather obvious because, especially for a lot of us who, work in areas which require a lot of IQ, that's the wrong messaging. So let me get into it. So it is rather a misconception that, well, yes and no. So women are more emotional beings, right? So a way to seduce or to get a woman to be attracted to you, when they say it's through her mind, sort of, it is, right? So the real way to seduce a woman or to have a woman fall in love with you or to get them to like you or, get on a date with you is actually emotionally. That's the real way. If you want to be able to seduce a woman, it's about how do they make, or how do I make them feel? By what am I saying? What am I doing? Which is what is eliciting a feeling in them that makes me attractive to them. So yes, it's mind because it's getting to their limbic system. So you've got three parts. Well, let me make it simple, right? You got your neocortex, you've got your prefrontal cortex in there, you've got your limbic system, which is the mammalian brain, and then you've got your reptilian brain, which has got your fight or flight, your amygdala, and all that stuff in there, simply put, right? The neocortex, the prefrontal cortex, is where your IQ, knowledge, and that kind of stuff sits. It's where your decision making sits in that, sort of decision making, but it's all the IQ knowledge based stuff, right? Stuff used in your day-to-day jobs and stuff like that. In the middle part of your brain is the mammalian brain. That's where your emotions, your feelings, and your hormones lie, and that's what drives all kind of connection. That's what drives attraction. That's what drives decision making at a deeper level. That makes all your choices in life altogether, whether you're male or female. That's the thing, is that it's the same for a man. When you say a man's visual, it's actually that limbic system inside your head. So it's not necessarily true, but it is true. So if you want to be more attracted to a female, you want to seduce a female, you have to understand is that it's about how am I making them feel emotionally? What am I telling them? What signals am I giving out? How am I presenting myself? That's giving me the best way to elicit an emotional feeling, usually dopamine, serotonin, or oxytocin, or all three, inside a female's brain. That's creating an emotional chemical reaction that then sends a signal to the prefrontal cortex to go, hey, this guy's hot. I want to go and date that person, or that guy's attractive. Let me, yes, I'll let him speak to me, right? So when you hear people say that how to seduce a woman is through the brain, sort of correct, but it's how you seduce a man as well too, right? We are biological beings driven purely from emotions, feelings, and hormones. Every decision we make is from emotions, feelings, and hormones. Everything. Every decision, every choice you do in life is driven from that place. And so when you're looking at it from a dating perspective, you got to look at, okay, if I want to attract a mate, or if I want to be able to resolve conflict, or I want to be able to connect with my partner a bit more, or I want to be able to be more risky with my partner in bed and stuff like that, it all comes down to how are you communicating to the other person that's eliciting a feeling inside their limbic system that triggers dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. That's the key to it, right? How you do that is why you hire people like me to teach you how to do that, because it's a specific way to do that. Because what happens these days is people are using their intellect 24/7. They go to work, they do their job, they're in their prefrontal cortex all day doing stuff that's in spreadsheets, in business plans, in governance meetings, in risks and issues, in project plans, in all kinds of stuff that requires a lot of knowledge, intellect, a lot of stuff at the front of your head, kind of attributes. And then when you try and communicate with people on a IQ level, it fails dismally. And that's why when you find that you're trying to communicate in a way that is IQ based or data based or fact based or just, prefrontal based, it falls flat on your face, is because you do not know how to communicate with the part of the brain that creates an emotional connection. And that's where everyone fails, because we're really good at IQ stuff. We're really good at our day-to-day jobs, and that's smashing it out of the park. And we're great at our spreadsheets. But we can't use a spreadsheet to communicate to our partner or try and attract a partner, because that's not how we work. And I'll keep saying till the day, the end days, right, is that we are using the wrong tool set to try and build attraction between and communication between partners or sexes these days. So when you hear somebody say, yep, the way to attract or to seduce a woman, or vice versa, way for a woman to seduce a man, you'll have all these different things out there. We'll say, here's the process, here's the steps, here's the script, here's the things you need to do to attract your partner. But it's all intellect based, and it's going to fail every single time. You need to understand the way that you communicate with somebody is through language, through body language, through presence, through tone, and communicating to a place inside their head that elicits that hormone response that gives you the ability to build a connection. And that requires a certain amount of presence, intuition, emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, and it's not a script. You can't do it via a script, because that is intellect again. So as soon as you ask the question is, what do I need to do? You're in intellect, right? Really is, who do I need to be to get there? So if you want to be able to find a way to seduce the opposite sex, whether you're a male or a female, you have to understand you can't get there by using a script. You can't get there by reading a book. You can't get there by watching a YouTube video. You can't get there by, writing it out, right? You can't get there by seeing pickup artists. You have to get there by learning about human psychology. You have to understand to communicate to the part of the brain that reacts to hormones, emotions, and feelings. And if you do that, then you can build a connection. You can seduce people. You can influence people. You can make a connection. You can build love. You can build strong sexual connections. You can do whatever you like, long as it's for good, reasons of good. But yeah, so if you want to do that, you can't, yes, through her brain, sort of, by using the right part of the brain, not intellect. And that's the part that's been missing. Most people think that it's about, how can I use intellect to influence someone to be able to seduce them? That's why it all fails for most people. You need to understand the ways that you communicate through the system. And that's the way. The key is, if I'm saying something or I'm doing something or I'm body language wise doing something, what feeling am I eliciting out of this person by what am I doing, right? That takes awareness. That takes training to be able to go, right, if I say this and my body language is like this and I present like this, what feeling am I eliciting out of the person by presenting things a certain way? And that takes a certain type of awareness to be able to do that. And pickup artists can't teach you that. So anyway, seduction, it is an energetic limbic system, emotional system, which requires you to have self-awareness about how you communicate, and it's not via IQ, and everybody's using IQ to do it, and that's why it fails. Anyway, I hope that's helped. I hope you can use a bit more EQ this time, and I will see you a bit later. Bye.